Uh, Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. This is our Administrative Matters meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. And as is our tradition, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. As you are able, please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Thank you all very much. Our first item is public comment, and based on the sign-up sheet, it doesn't appear that anyone has signed up. Before we go to the phones, is there anyone here in person who wishes to offer public comment? You can have up to about 3 minutes, and you may not have signed up. This is your chance. This is like your opportunity to be in the limelight if you choose to be, if you want to. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to see if anyone has signed up to offer public comment by phone.
No, Commissioner.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Then at this time, we will close the public comment portion of the meeting, and our next order of business is approval of the minutes. Commissioner Stevens, would you be kind enough to offer a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the week of April 1st, 2024.
Thank you. That's a proper motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Upcoming schedule review. Sarah, I believe this. Oh, I forgot to introduce us. Maybe I should do that. Let's rewind the tape a little bit. My name is John Kafalis, Commissioner from District 1, joined by my Commissioner colleagues, Kristen Stevens from District 2, Jody Shattuck McNally from District 3, Tessa Beatty from the Clerk and Recorder's Office. This is a public meeting. We take notes. We provide those notes. We review them. And of course, we have a recording of the meeting. We have our County Manager, Lorinda Volker, Tom Clayton from our Public Affairs Office, and Sarah Martin from our Commissioner's Office. Okay, let's start over. Sarah.
All right, this is the Commissioner's schedule for April 15th through the 20th, 2024. On Monday, April 15th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will speak at the Colorado State University Social Work Policy class at the Gifford Building, room 144, at 502 West Lake Street in Fort Collins. From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual peak facilitation group prescribed fire subcommittee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. On Tuesday, April 16th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Community Correction Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at 2307 Midpoint Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. On Wednesday, April 17th, from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., there will be a weed management enterprise rate hearing in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a liquor license hearing for Horsetooth Tavern LLC in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. And from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., the Commissioners may attend the Veterans Together meeting in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor. On Thursday, April 18th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Housing Catalyst Board of Commissioners meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at Housing Catalyst at 1715 West Mountain Avenue in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Virtual Summit on Intergovernmental Crisis Response meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Transportation, Housing, and Public Health/Human Services Committee meeting. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Finance Committee meeting. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Estes Valley Planning Advisory Committee meeting. From 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will speak at the Larimer County 101 class at the Larimer County Loveland campus in the Big Thompson and Poudre River Conference Room at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Board of Health meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it's at the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment at 1525 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins, or virtually via Zoom. On Friday, April 19th, from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Middle Income Housing Authority Board meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Colorado Counties, Inc. Legislative Briefing meeting. From 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Natural Resources, Wildfire, and Fiscal Reform Committee meeting. On Saturday, April 20th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will volunteer for the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources Earth Day Trail Project at Blue Sky Trailhead at 4780 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins. From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens will volunteer for the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources Earth Day Litter Cleanup, Department of Natural Resources Administration Office at 1800 South County Road 31 in Loveland. From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Sustainable Living Association 14th Annual Earth Day Fort Collins event at the Civic Center Park on the corner of LaPorte Avenue and House Street in Fort Collins. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Commissioner Stevens?
No, my schedule looks great. Thank you, Sarah.
Very good. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, please.
Sarah, thank you for all the work. It looks pretty good. Just wanted to add that the National Rural Action Caucus, I'll just be there for the first half hour, and then I'm going to jump in on this National Association of County Virtual Summit, but that also is in partnership with Pew Charitable Trust. So just wanted to add that on there. So, and I think that's all I have. Thank you.
I'm good, Sarah. Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to our consent agenda. A couple of quick comments before I go through the consent agenda. As many of you know, the intent here is that the items addressed on the consent agenda are basically administrative, routine. They don't have any kind of controversy, if you can believe that anything we do is without controversy. But they are administrative in nature, and so we typically go through them. We've generally previously had conversations about these particular items. Oh, and the commissioners have the option of pulling a consent agenda item off of the consent agenda, and then we would have a bit of a discussion on that item. So with that in mind, I will try to be efficient and accurate regarding the consent agenda. The first item on the consent agenda for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 is an agreement, an MOU or Memorandum of Understanding between Big Elk Meadows Association and Larimer County for stream and precipitation monitoring. This has to do with an agreement, a memorandum of understanding in order to install one of our river gauges to be able to monitor flow. And this is one of the things we do proactively to help us have data to be prepared for any potential flooding situations in the future. That's item number one. Then we move on to appointments. That's the next category. First, recommended reappointment to the Land Stewardship Advisory Board. Ronald Harris, reappoint Ronald to a full-term appointment to the Land Stewardship Advisory Board beginning July 1, 2024, ending June 30th, 2027. And the Land Stewardship Advisory Board, very quickly, they oversee the activities of our weed district and those kinds of things, land stewardship. Item number two, recommended reappointments to the Parks Advisory Board. Ruthie Rollins and Bill Prater, reappoint these two folks to full-time appointments beginning July 1, ending June 30th, 2027. Item number 3, recommended reappointment to the Board of Health, Brian Del Grosso. And there needs to be a correction here. I think folks are aware. By state statute, terms on the Board of Health are 5 years. What's indicated here is July 1, 2024, and it should read ending June 30th, 2029, 5 years. So we'll make that correction, and I believe Sarah has already been informed. Next, we have recommended reappointments to the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. 3 folks, Lynn Adame, Daisy Sweeney, and Karina Ledesma. They have been reappointed for 3-year terms beginning July 1 of this year, ending June 30th in 2027. Moving right along, recommended reappointment to the Smithfield Public Improvement District, PID. Sue Doherty, this term begins April 9th, today, and ends November 30th, 2027. Take a breath for a moment. Recommended appointments to the Environmental and Science Advisory Board, 2 new folks, Zachary Maffeo and Leo Grassens. These folks will begin a 3-year term, July 1st of this year, ending June 30th of 2027. Finally, recommended reappointments to the Board of Appeals, Clint Hanna and Steven Steinbicker. These are 3-year terms beginning July 1st, 2024. And again, the details of all this are actually on the website if any of these items you'd like to have more details. And just as perhaps a note of information, these boards and commissions, most of them are advisory in nature. They're really critical. We have 30-plus boards and commissions. Folks can apply, and they help us, the commissioners, make informed decisions. So they really are important. We move on to letters of support. This particular support letter is to support funding for the Loveland Warehouse Business Accelerator. The Business Accelerator is Northern Colorado's manufacturing and technology scale-up incubator program. They're based out of Loveland. This is in support of some grant applications that they're applying for, and this support is in alignment with our goals regarding economic resiliency, business diversification in our communities following major disaster declarations. As you all know, when we have those occur, oftentimes it can have a serious impact on our businesses, and this would provide support to help us be more resilient. Liquor licenses. That's always a hot topic. Liquor license renewal. This is for the Glen Echo Liquor up there in Bellevue, Colorado, up in Glen Echo, a retail liquor store, license type, approval and issuance. Another liquor license renewal, same place, Glen Echo Resort. This is a bit of a different type of license, hotel and restaurant, approval and issuance. Moving on to miscellaneous, a notice regarding grantor's reserved subdivision right, deed of conservation easement, Rockin' K Diamond Ranch. This is basically regarding conservation easements, and the land that is being protected from development in perpetuity. The next item is a request for an additional full-time equivalent investigator and the conversion of existing positions in 2 civilian full-time equivalents investigative positions submitted by our sheriff's office. And I have a few more details, but this is basically the first position is the funding comes from already established law enforcement contracts between the county, Larimer County Sheriff's Office, and the towns of Berthoud and Wellington, and this will provide funding for a full-time investigator. The additional civilian positions will be funded by existing positions authorized in the sheriff's budget. So we're not adding any additional funding. And if people want more details, I've got it right here, but I'm not going to go through it. And it's also online. Number 3, requesting Board of Commissioners approval, of the 2024 Impact Fund Grant Program recommendations. We had a work session on April 3rd, and these are basically the recommendations of our Policy Advisory Council, our Consumer Advisory Committee, as well as our Technical Advisory Committee, based on prioritization of funding to community-based organizations for providing behavioral health services. The applications for these Impact Fund grant dollars, approximately $2.8 million, will become live. I believe the process, there'll be advertisement, but people will have a chance to look at those applications in June, submit their applications by the end of June, and then there's a process for deciding who gets the funding. Next, we have legislative priority request. This is a bill, Senate Bill 24-136, Uniform Guardianship and Conservatorship Act. Basically, what this is stating is our official position of the county is an amend position. The intent here is good, but there's some work that needs to be done to make it even better. Let's see, we have 5 stipulations. These are adjustments to property value worked out between the property owner, the assessor's office, I believe, and the clerk and recorder's office has a bit of a role in all of this through the referee process. Finally, resolutions. This is a findings and resolutions approving the Windcliff Estates legislative rezoning. Windcliff Estates is a community neighborhood up in the Estes Park area, Estes Valley, and this has to do with rezoning, a special kind of zoning to allow them to have short-term rentals in their neighborhood at a higher density, and it is part of their history and their HOA covenant. Finally, findings and resolution approving the Linda Vista subdivision preliminary and final plats. And that's what this one is, approval of findings and resolution. Typically, when we go through this process, there's an F&R that we need to sign off on, and as well as the plat, and that project can move forward. Colleagues, that is all. Do you wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Nope, nor do I. Motion to approve the consent agenda, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, excuse me.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda for April 9th, 2024.
Wonderful, proper motion. Don't believe there's any further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That also passes 3-0. Our next item is we have commissioners' guests, and we have two folks. We have our Tina Harris, our clerk and recorder, and Mally Oropesa from our Larimer County Conservation Corps. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Shattuck McNally to welcome our first guest, and I'll say a word about Mally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad to have and welcome our Larimer County Clerk and Recorder, Tina Harris, along with her team, who want to share some news with us about a recent election. And I welcome our Tina Harris, and thank you for being here today and bringing this really important information. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Would you identify yourself for the record?
I will. I'm
Thank
Tina
you.
Harris. I'm the Larimer County Clerk and Recorder. And so I'm here. First of all, I want to thank you for your patience. There has been some unscheduled things that popped up on my calendar that I had to take care of. So that's why there's a delay in me providing you and the community with some very important information about the 2024 presidential primary election. So I'm going to just review some stats with you. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the congressional district vacancy that we have coming up. And then election, it's a special election. And then I'm going to share some exciting news. So just bear with me for 1 minute. So I'm trying to get all this in, and it's not going to take very long. So the ballots that were returned on Election Day, we received 26,429 ballots. 25,374 were either delivered by mail or Dropbox. And then 1,053 we received in person. That means they visited our VSPCs. We did issue 2 provisional ballots. The total number of ballots returned altogether were 106,393. And so we had about 24.84% of those ballots returned on on Election Day, which we saw a higher early return than we usually do. So and that really compares to past elections, or this compares to the 35 to 40% returns we've been seeing on Election Day post-2020, because this is our second presidential primary that we've had. The first one was in 2020. So we encourage the community to continue to vote early because it really helps us out. Now, one of the things that I do want to share with you and the public is that we had a total number of undeliverable ballots returned at 7,413. This is not unusual. It's trending. But what I would like to say, I'm going to take this opportunity to inform the community that ballots are not forwardable. So if you move or you are not going to be in the area, please reach out to our office for assistance because we can help you. We can get those ballots to you even if you're going to be out of the area for a little while. And the other thing is you can visit our website, and we can walk you through the process through our website as well. So make sure that your address is correct and your record is active before the next election. So please reach out to us. Now, that's it for the statistics. So we're going to talk about the congressional vacancy. That's going to be combined with our June 25th, 2024 election, but it will only be one card. So voters who are in the Wellington area, Windsor, and Loveland will see something additional on their ballot that they don't usually see. And that will be that CD4 vacancy. And so if you have any questions, we're going to be updating our voter instructions that you receive with your ballot to indicate how to navigate that ballot. And then we'll have more information on our website as we get closer to that election. Let's see. Any questions about that? Because then I want to go into the fun stuff.
A quick question. You used an acronym earlier in your presentation. Around here, we do our best to explain what the
Sure.
acronyms mean. Do you remember what the acronym was?
VSPC.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Voter Service and Polling Center.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Tina, and I appreciate you bringing the information about the special election. It's quite the buzz. Since I have 3 congressional districts in my district, it's quite the buzz. Actually got a call on it this morning.
Oh,
So my question is, you talked about those voters having that extra little instruction. Will there be other things put out beforehand to help educate folks, and will that instruction be in English and Spanish? And what does that look like?
okay. So at this point, it will just only be in English. Those instructions will be in English. We will be updating our website. We will have information out there about this because it is going to be a little tricky. If you are registered with a major party, you will receive that major party ballot, and then we'll do our very best to make sure that CD4 race is on the back of that ballot, so we're going to provide you with those instructions. If you are unaffiliated, you're going to get a ballot packet, and if you are in that CD4 area, then you're going to have both of those ballots will have that CD4 race on the back, but you are only to vote one of the ballots. You get to choose which one you want to vote. And so we're going to continue. This is going to be one of our big pushes as far as community outreach, because we want to make sure that everyone knows if they receive that ballot to look for it on the back.
And maybe your other good news is maybe I'll save my other question for, in case your other good news is maybe my question. So
Oh.
I will wait for my
Well-
other question. But thank you for bringing that information, because I do think there's a lot of activity and a lot of national press and interest in that. And so I think that's why I'm pretty much daily getting questions. And so it's not, I don't even live in CD4, so, but it's in my district. So I'm just grateful for that. There will be some instructions and that will be helpful. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, oh,
One
I'm
moment,
sorry.
please. Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, and I hope that folks, CD4 is Congressional District 4, and so the reason there's a vacancy is because Ken Buck gave up his seat. And so I'm not, for those who aren't, in with the political lingo, that's kind of what's happening here. And so that's why the special election will happen simultaneously with the primary election. Is that right?
That's correct. And
Okay.
so the state is no longer calling it a primary election.
Oh,
They're
they are.
just calling it the June 25th, 2024 election
Oh,
because it's
interesting.
going to have two races.
Okay,
And
so.
if I may just
yes,
expand,
please.
it prompted a question that I have, and that, I mean, in the media, we're seeing those running for that seat, Congressional District 4 seat, are where their place is on the ballot. How is it determined who's on the ballot first? Is it alphabetical? And also, can you help me? I'm still confused, frankly, and you would think I shouldn't be. So Congressman Buck vacated that seat. It is now empty. Is someone appointed, or it's still a vacant seat, and that will be filled based on the election on June 25th, and then there'll be another election for the general election? Could you help us
Correct.
understand that, or help me understand that?
Sure. When he vacated that seat, then Governor Polis did an executive order to fill that position or for that election. And so it was determined, the Secretary of State determined that we would have it on June 25th. And so what happens is that vacancy it's still a vacancy. There's no one there. No one's been appointed. And so this election will determine the June 25th election will determine who will fill that seat until the November election.
Thank you, Tina. That's very helpful. Please continue.
Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay, because the exciting news is the polls are open for our I Voted sticker contest. So that's the fun stuff, right? This contest really provides an opportunity not only for the students to show off their talents and all of that, but it gives them that opportunity to engage with the local government, and that's what I'm most excited about. But the polls are open. Please go out and vote. You can go to larimer.gov/I voted sticker. They're out there. I've already voted, so I encourage everyone to vote. You will be amazed. The talent is amazing. So we have 10 stickers out there.
Can you provide a tiny bit more context? What is this competition that was started perhaps a month or so ago with the schools?
Yes, so high school students were encouraged to do some artwork to create our new I Voted sticker. That will be used in the 2024 general election. So we're very excited about that. The polls will close on April 12th at 5 p.m. And the winner will be announced on April 19th. This keeps cutting out, sorry. April 19th, and it will be on our website and then our social media accounts. So please follow us. You can get some really good information. So we're on Facebook and X.
Thank you, Tina. It looks like Commissioner Shadak McNally has something.
That was my question.
Well,
that I
I'm
held
sorry
on
about
to.
that. I figured, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and I just pulled it up. I'm seeing these wonderful entries. Sorry, I thought I had that on. I'm really excited and see all these entries, and I really appreciate this, what you have done in this opportunity. As I understand, this is a ranked choice voting opportunity for folks to try that out because there are 10 entries. So this will be a chance to kind of practice what's coming in the future for the Fort Collins elections, this will be fun for people to, maybe with little pressure, to try ranked choice voting. And so I really appreciate how you set that up. And I just wanted to say thank you for supporting this learning opportunity or raising awareness. And I'm super excited to see this. And we can share this on our social media as well. And that's going to be a hard one to choose. But I'm glad we have ranked choice voting so we can have our second choices too. So thank you.
Absolutely. We're using this as a learning opportunity for our staff. And then also it gives us so that we can create information to provide to the public, education information to provide to the public. So we're very excited about it as well.
Thanks for raising that point. That's a really good reminder. Ranked choice voting, we won't get into what that is today, but perhaps at the appropriate time, we could have a discussion on that for the public to be more informed.
Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That is exciting news. Do you have anything else that's exciting?
Not at this time. We're navigating this. We're also navigating the congressional district vacancy, CD4 elections. So those are the hot things that are happening in our office. Vehicle licensing is doing amazing, and the recording office is just moving right along. We're issuing we're accepting passport applications, and this is what we call marriage license season. So we're issuing quite a few marriage licenses.
Wonderful. Thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
Clerk and Recorder Harris.
Thank you.
Uh,
All right. Have a good day.
You as well. Okay, I'd like to ask our friend and colleague, Mali Oropesa, if you would be kind enough to come on up. And I'll just provide a tiny bit of context. So we received I believe the 2023 Larimer County Conservation Corps annual report earlier in the year. And we were very impressed by the content and all the great achievements. And I thought it would be appropriate to have our friend and colleague Mali come and introduce himself and give us an update and share what the Corps does and why it's important and what you guys have accomplished.
Yeah, well, again, my name is Mali Rapeza. I'm the manager of the Larimer County Conservation Corps. We are housed within the Economic and Workforce Development Department. I do have a slideshow. I think you all received that. Do I need to put it up, or should I just speak through it as we go?
Is somebody able to cue that up?
Can I plug in?
Thanks, Mali.
Yeah.
We like pictures. And thanks to everyone here. We have some great proclamations, and thank you for your patience. And here we are.
So this is an overview of our 2023 calendar year season, and then a little bit of projections into 2024. So I'll start with a little bit of history. In 2023, we celebrated our 30th anniversary operating Conservation Corps programming. If you look back, we actually started youth programming back in '86 as Operation Brightside. But as our celebration, we celebrated the 30th year. We were calling ourselves a Conservation Corps. This just gives you a little bit of history. The Conservation Corps started out as a program, a summer program, focusing on youth, doing beautification projects across the county and the city. We evolved that program from operating 3 summer youth programs to offering a winter program in partnership with Loveland Water and Power and Fort Collins Utilities to offer home energy assessments to look at how we can address the water shortage issue in our area, in our state, and then also looking at how we can avoid the uptick of power consumption. That evolved into 2010 when we started our forestry cruise. The start of our forestry cruise was looking at how can we address the fire safety and the fire threat within our area. So we looked at how we could, as a program, how we could try to address that issue. And we've been operating that program since 2010. Here's a little bit about our workflow. So the Conservation Corps is typically seeking out projects, looking at how we can partner. That could be a NPS program, the National Park Service, where we're looking at a contract, we're looking at the work is getting bidded out, and we solidify that contract and we look at funding. That moves us into recruitment. We can start recruiting and hiring our members. Then we get into, once they're hired, into training. We move into projects, and then we look at project reporting. So that's just the workflow. Currently, we are wrapping up summer recruitment right now. For our summer cruise, we're hiring 56 members. Those folks will be trained in May. We will be wrapping up we're currently operating a program now, so we're kind of in the project tracking with our water and energy program that will wrap up the first week of May. And then we will shortly after that start recruitment for our fall cruise. So as you can see, some of these things are consistently overlapping throughout the year. We're either in recruitment, onboarding, or project reporting and tracking. Here's a quick project highlight. We had a project up at Storm Mountain in Glen Haven where we, in partnership with the Big Thompson Watershed Coalition, wrote a COSWAP grant. COSWAP stands for Colorado Strategic Wildfire Action Plan. It's a grant-funded request for proposal program through the Department of Natural Resources. We received that funding to be able to address some mitigation work that needed to be done in the Big Thompson area as priority area. So we split that work across Storm Mountain. The crew spent 9 weeks up at Storm Mountain. They completed about 2,400 hours of service as AmeriCorps members, and we addressed 10 acres of that need up in Storm Mountain. As you can see, that the byproduct of those trees is that pile of wood. That pile of wood will also be given out to residents to utilize for winter heating, those sort of things. And then the slash piles will hopefully be burned throughout the season. Then we moved into Glen Haven. Similar, we spent 9 weeks and 2,400 hours across Glen Haven. It was a little steeper over there, so there's a little bit of less production. So we had 8.2 acres and created 302 slash piles. The slash piles are all the branches and the debris from the actual trunk of the tree. And the diagram on the right, the blue is we use GIS tracking for our project systems so that we can have accurate reporting, so we can have accurate bidding when we're looking at these projects. So each day the crew is putting in a polygon, what's called a polygon. It's this kind of blue blob, and they go out and walk the perimeter of the area that they did per day. So we can see what production looks like on a day. The red dots are the 302 slash piles that we built across that 9 acres. So that's how that reporting is done. So we can pass this reporting on and drop this file to the Forest Service or some of our other partners to look at how we can address these piles, and they know where the piles are. Again, that's through, so once we get this data, we can put it all together and we create a story map through the GIS system. It's kind of an interactive narrative, and that's how our final report was submitted through story maps. Here is the link on the right. We can share that out as well to see what we've done. So over the 2023, as part of an AmeriCorps program, not only are the compensation for our members, but they also receive an AmeriCorps Education Award. So this year we gave out $90,000 worth of AmeriCorps Education Awards. Those can be used for post-secondary education or additional training for our members. And yeah, as you can see, there's some of our numbers. We completed 26,000 service hours. We did about 396 home efficiency assessments. We had 57 participants. And there are 3 of us as Conservation Corps staff that are supported at the agency with our fiscal team, with the HR team, the risk management team, and the fleet team to really make this roll down the road. So definitely want to recognize those folks. Here's a quick snapshot of our budget. Last year we were operating at 1.5 million through projects. It's kind of a breakdown on the right of how those funds come in as revenue. And then on the left, those are our expenses. So typically those are wages going out to the members that are participating in those programs. Program costs like fleet, our offices, chainsaws, trailers, vehicles, those sort of things, and then admin costs within our fiscal team. This is a outlook of 2024. So we'll be hiring 7 crews. 5 of them will be hitting the ground in this summer from June through November. And then those crews will overlap with our fall crews, which will start in August and run through October. Those are quick pins of the projects that we'll be doing. And you'll see that some of these do fall into Boulder County. And so as the Conservation Corps and one of the corps across the state looking at how we can address fire mitigation work, Larimer County Conservation Corps helps out in Boulder County, and Mile High from Denver comes up and also bridges the gap. The Boulder County Youth Corps is 14 to 17, so they're enabled to operate chainsaws and address the fire mitigation work. So we lend a hand down there. So you can see some of those pins down there, like in Button Rock, outside of Lyons, Twin Sisters, in Estes Park, and then Left Hand Canyon. We'll be doing some work down there as well. That's what I got. Any questions?
Mally, thank you. Well done. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, observations? Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mally. This is great. I think it's great for the community to understand all the work you do, and very impressive. And it's fun to see it on the maps where, I mean, the work in Glen Haven in 9 weeks. That feels remarkable to me. How do people? So how would someone apply if they're interested? Are applications open right now? Or?
They are. There's a few slots that are left.
Okay.
So typically in January, right around college break, we put out our announcements and our positions. That's typically when folks are on break. They've kind of decompressed from the semester and they start thinking about, what am I going to do this summer? I got a week or so to be hanging out at their parents' house, those sort of things. So we put the applications out. It goes out nationwide, to be honest. But we really focus locally. And then those applications are typically open 4 to 6 weeks. And we start with hiring staff to lead those crews. And then we start looking at members. So we do a lot of recruitment with our partners. We do a lot of recruitment through the Warner College of Natural Resources. And then locally through a variety of job boards and conservation boards and those sort of things. They come in, they're offered an interview, and then from there we try to see what their interests are within which program they'd like to be on, if they want to be on a trail crew, if they want to be operating a chainsaw, if they want to be camping or not camping. Those sort of things are taken into consideration. And then we move into offers, and then they all show up in May.
And so it's primarily college-age students?
Yeah, currently our work is focused on 18 to 25.
Okay.
There are some of our funding allows us to go up to 30, but it's typically 18 to 25.
Okay. Well, thank you. My son actually did it in the summer, I think when you allowed high school students to do it, yeah. And he still says it's the best job that he ever had.
Great.
So, and he got to work on Soapstone Prairie before it opened, and some really cool projects. So it's a great opportunity. And so it sounds like there's still some openings, and maybe not too many, and then people can think about it for that next year. But I think it's like a tough job. But I mean, you're outside, and you're doing a lot of great work. So
Yeah, I think that's the beauty and the uniqueness about the Conservation Corps experience is we can have folks that have come back year after year, and we can have folks that are really interested in, and this is their first job, and they haven't been outside, they haven't done physical labor, and we can train them to do that job. You can teach hard skills, and then we work on soft skills throughout the program. So there's the focus not only on the project and those outcomes that I just showed, but also on the interpersonal development that happens within the Corps as well. And you bring this kind of mix of folks together from all walks of life and put them together and put them out in the backcountry, and really unique things happen on top of some really great work. So yeah, thanks.
So they don't necessarily have to have any experience with.
They do not.
Yeah. Okay.
They do not.
So you're hiring maybe more for attitude and desire.
Yeah, we really want to
and
make sure they know
interest.
what they're getting into.
Sure.
And they can commit, because we're committing to these projects and these partnerships
Sure.
to get this work done or to this community. And we really need folks to really prioritize the work. It does overlap with summer break and summer vacations and those sort of things. And so it does take a unique individual to prioritize the work so that we can commit to those contracts.
Thank you. I think this is a great workforce opportunity, and it's a great opportunity to get work done around fire mitigation. So wonderful work. Thank you for what you do, and thanks for explaining it to the public.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mally, super fan here. Really grateful for all the work that you do. It's great to run into you at all of our fire conferences and stuff, and just a tremendous program. Happy 30th anniversary, or going on to 31,
Thanks.
but really a testament to your leadership the last few years, getting these grants and things like that. You know, I think the Conservation Corps is really simply just about putting youth and environment together to benefit both, but it's also really they're working hard to protect our environment and help restore things. And I think that's really important to recognize that it's a win-win for everyone. It's really transforming lives and our landscapes and communities through, personal to service and really to personal development and education. And it's just a great spot for folks to launch themselves into different careers. I know we have benefited as a county because some of those individuals have gone through your program, have now moved on and maybe working for DNR. I've run into a couple, or that part of natural resources, sorry, Commissioner. And so I really appreciate, because they learned some really important hard skills and work ethic, and I think that's really critical. I know you are aware of through the Colorado Forest Health Council that I chair legislative committee, we had Senate Bill 5, which is last year that's been implemented, and one of our regional community colleges received one of those workforce grants for looking for folks who want to come into that to expand the workforce development through that program and then get further on their career into forestry or education and natural resources. So I'm hoping that you're kind of watching that, because Front Range got one of those grants for paid internships and things. So if those individuals in your program want to continue, there's that educational piece as well. And I think there's some degree or some certificate programs in there. So I'm hoping that you're watching that, because we're hoping to maybe keep that rolling and expanding to have those paid internships for folks. My question real quick, and again, thank you, because I've talked to a lot of the folks that have been working with you. Actually, we're out at Laurie State Park. We got a lot of work alongside a lot of them, and that was really exciting to talk with them. The amount of acreage that you said you did last year was how many acres?
Oh, total acreage?
Yeah.
I think overall in our forestry mitigation work, we did over right at 100 acres of work done last year across the entire season.
And on how much of a grant? Just curious, for the 100 acres total, do you know how much
Oh, it was a variety of grants. I'd have to look. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I can definitely reply back to those numbers. So we, through those forestry programs, we're receiving COSWAP funds, which is DNR funds. We're receiving GOCO funds, which is lottery funds. And then some of them may be through our Colorado Parks and Wildlife partnerships, where the parks can request funds and time with the Conservation Corps, and those are funded at the state level. So I can take a look and see how much funding we receive for specifically forestry programs and get back to you.
That would be great, and I would love to have and not to put you on the spot. I'm asking that for a reason, and I would love to have those slides. And I did look at the report. I'm really excited about it. I kind of, in my spare time, instead of reading for fun, I'm always reading to catch up on things. But really, if 100 acres, for the public's information, on a conservative amount treatment per acre would be around 2,500 conservatively, because some of those steep slopes are actually going to be more expensive. That's about $250,000 of work conservatively to the community to help with fire mitigation, which it protects our watersheds, protects our landscapes, and helps bring that biodiversity. So that's the reason I was asking, because really I think you guys are actually a pretty good deal for the amount of work that's done and the quality of work. I mean, I'm sure we're getting a very excellent outcome from all that work from those folks. What's the plan for your you mentioned you were taking that wood and giving it to locals to use for heating, but then doing slash piles. Is the Conservation Corps and all of them looking at maybe using air curtain burners or trying to do something other than, burning things in the atmosphere and looking what else we can do with that biomass?
Yeah, we are. Myself and our staff are involved with Office of Emergency Management. We have a task force to look at how we can address this pinch point, because there's a lot of project funding flowing right now to get the trees on the ground, but there's not a lot of places where that wood can go. So in essence, we're relocating the wood. We're not solving the issue yet. We've been fortunate enough that on a lot of our projects, those piles have been burnt, either by some of our partners, by the Colorado Department of Health and Environment and their fire crews. The U.S. Forest Service has utilized some property adjacent agreements that they can address those piles. So some of that wood is also donated, like in specifically, we had a project up in Nederland where Nederland has a wood bank similar to the food bank, where they can address and give out community resources to those in need. And that wood that was on that project went to their wood bank. So looking at some of these, and myself and Josh Roberts at OEM, had some of these conversations with the gentleman that operates that wood bank to see how can we duplicate that so that we don't have to recreate the wheel here, and look at what are those outcomes. So we're also looking at funding as well. So there's some innovation grants through some of the wildfire funds at the state level to see can we do an assessment. And I think OEM received some of those funds for a 2-year analysis to really look at how we can address this issue, because there's the wood isn't it's not structural wood. It needs to be either a different sort of product that needs to be innovated, or another entrepreneur to look at how that wood could be utilized. It could be used for pellets, but to be processed somewhere. Right now, Walden is one of the processors for that wood, and they just can't take the volume. There's also a biochar down in Berthoud that looks at that issue and trying to really make charcoal out of it and put it back into the soil. So it's a real pinch point that not only Larimer County is up against. I mean, this is a national issue. The state of Colorado is really looking at collaborative ways to how to address that. I think one of the last mills is over in Grand Junction. It's just not efficient to grab this wood from Red Feather and drive it to Grand Junction. You can't even pay for the gas to get it there. So it's a real issue. So we're looking at that and trying to be creative on how we do that.
Yeah, very aware of the grant, very excited we received that from DOLA. And also, as you know, the Colorado Forest Health Council, we've been struggling and wrestling with this discussion for 2 years, and my legislative committee meets every 2 weeks. And we're still at a loss of what we can do to deal with that. So it's really a big issue and something that we've talked about, even with the Gates Family Foundation came for a few meetings and having that discussion at a national, state and local level, looking for innovative solutions. And also Morgan Timber Products out of LaPorte is doing a lot with zero waste, with dealing with some of this wood out of the Cameron Peak fire. So that's another local resource. And I really appreciate the work that you guys are trying to do to innovate. One of the bills out of the Forest Health Council that was currently in appropriations waiting to move on is one of our recommendations is to fund a grant program for innovative / biomass locally run in counties. So we'll see if that comes out. There might be another opportunity for you to maybe look at that wood bank. So just a heads up on that, to maybe watch how that comes out. So that should be hopefully rolling out. So I think we're just waiting on state appropriations. So big fan. Thank you for the work. I think anytime we're empowering our youth, and then, like I said, win-win for the community, and just really excited to hear about these numbers today. And no rush on the rest of the data. I'm just, I love the kind of curious. I'm always curious about that. Thank you.
Yeah. The last two things I would just mention is we are meeting with emergency services, because 2 of our staff have been trained to operate the air curtain burner. We need to look at how we can utilize that, and what is the risk, and working with our risk management department to see how that can be brought out on projects to address that. So yeah, we're looking at all and every creative way to try to look at how we can address this issue, and hopefully we can get to some resolution sooner than later, because we're really a lightning strike away from the next mega fire or major flood within our Cameron Peak footprint. So we're trying to be proactive as best we can. So.
I'll offer one question and one comment. Well, first of all, there is a demo on the air curtain burner up at Glacier View Meadows Fire Protection District. I can't remember the date, but that'll be an opportunity for folks up there to see how it works. My question is this, regarding the work that the Conservation Corps does for water, home and water and energy audits. How do, especially people who are struggling with high housing costs, how do people get those audits? And you folks also do some of the work, like insulation perhaps, or sealing, or can you speak to that, please?
Yeah. So the Water and Energy Program is a partnership with Loveland Water and Power and Fort Collins Utilities. So it's offered to those two customer bases. So they usually it's word of mouth. A neighbor sees our van out front and they see all this stuff going in and out of the house, and they talk to their neighbor and they want to find out what just went on over there. So customers can sign up. There's an application online. We have a lot of
Where is that? Can you give us that website, please?
yeah, it's larimer.org/LCCC/water and energy.
Great.
And that's on our site, and it'll take you to a link, and there's a form you can fill out, and that gets submitted to our staff. We verify that the address falls into the service area, and then from there we reach out and schedule an appointment.
So you do the audit, and then based on the results of the audit, you can do some of the work or refer it out?
So once we get it scheduled, we go out to the house, and that house visit is the audit, is the scheduling and the retrofitting. So we go into the home, and at that moment, we're changing out or finding out if you could use a high efficiency shower head or high efficiency light bulbs, LED light bulbs, those sort of things. And then we address and look at, we have a toilet replacement program. So we'll replace an existing toilet with a high efficiency toilet. And that's usually a second visit that comes into play. So those are typically scheduled 3 times a day, 5 days a week.
And there are no income guidelines, or are there?
There are not. There are
Very
not
good.
any income guidelines. You just need to be a customer of those two bases. We put a lot of focus into working with our mobile home parks in those service areas, and we also Fort Collins Utilities has a income qualified program. It's called IQAP. And that's to look at addressing the rates based off of your income. So we prioritize some of those folks as well to try to get them out there. So we're doing that whole scheduling and retrofitting, and then from there they get a report on what was done, and they can start looking at how that is a direct result and how it can be a direct reduction to their energy bills and their water bills the next month of service.
Thank you, Melly. And my quick comment is, want to do a shout out for our Larimer County Economic and Workforce Development Director, Mark Johnston, who is here, and just point out that the Conservation Corps is just one program service that the county provides across an entire continuum or range of services regarding economic development, supporting businesses, creating new businesses, helping people find jobs, helping people get training. So it's really important that folks know about that. And there's a lot of collaboration, as you indicated, with our Office of Emergency Management, OEM, emergency operations with the Sheriff's Office. And so it's a lot of teamwork here, and certainly with our Department of Human Services, people who are in the Colorado Works program, for example, will typically work with the workforce development to find the skills, overcome the barriers, the training, in order to get jobs that pay a halfway decent wage. So I wanted to make that comment, shout out. Thank you very much, sir. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, everyone's being so patient, and some people were wise to bring a book to read. That's very smart. We'll now move on. Where are we? Discussion items. The first item is 2024 proclamation declaring National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. We have a proclamation which we'll read, but at this time, I would be honored to invite our Larimer County Sheriff to come on up, and please introduce yourself for the record, sir, and introduce the topic.
Thank you, Commissioners. I must really understand that close. And County Manager. I'm John Fan, the Larimer County Sheriff. And before I start, I just want to say, with the addition of a helicopter, we'd be glad to fly those slash piles out of the forest floor to the air curtain burners a little bit.
And actually, Sheriff, I would recommend next Christmas you look under the tree and see if it's
I
there.
appreciate that. But now, for business on hand. National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. You're going to read a declaration. I appreciate that. This was initiated back in 1994 by President Bill Clinton, declaring that the second full week in April would be the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. These men and women who serve in our 911 dispatch centers are the epitome of coming to work and it's every day being a bad day. Because very rarely did they ever get to answer the call of somebody having a good news. It's usually the worst crisis in somebody's life. They never know what's going to be on the other end of that line. And they've done CPR more times than any deputy or any officer has. They've delivered more babies than any officer or deputy has. They've responded to more motor vehicle crashes and fires and helped find more lost children than any single one of our deputies. They've even helped with 7th grade algebra, because that can be a crisis as well to some folks. While a deputy has to respond to a single call at a time, our professional telecommunicators often get multiple calls for a singular incident and have to answer them all professionally, or, as was evidenced in the windstorm that we had on Saturday night, they're answering multiple calls throughout the county all at the same time. So they have a difficult job. I get to focus on one call at a time. They have to focus on the whole county at a time. And then they have to decipher deputies. So not only is it the public on the 911 call, they have to talk to deputies who want to speak at 1,000 miles per hour and spell license plates phonetically, and almost like it's a race. There's some deputies that talk like they have a mouthful of marshmallows, and they have to decipher this as well. And then they have to interpret when they get the 911 calls. We are a multicultural community, which makes us only richer, and so some of our callers have English as a primary language. So they have to figure out how to interpret for Spanish and Arabic and other languages in our community. Sometimes they even, on our side, have to decipher on the same shift when Jersey is trying to talk to Mississippi, who's trying to talk to Australia. You'd think they all spoke the Queen's English, but sometimes it's different enough that when you get a Joe Shellhammer Jersey trying to talk to somebody from Mississippi, that can be a little bit difficult as well. And finally, they have to deal with the sheriff, who sometimes just picks up the radio one time a month and just goes, "Hello, is there anybody there? And here's what I need." And they have to be polite, respectful, and at least not laugh at him on their air, which I greatly appreciate. They hardly ever get resolution to the calls. So they take the calls, send fire, EMS, law enforcement out, but then sometimes they never hear the resolution, so it always leaves them hanging throughout their career. We could not do the job that we do. They are truly the calm and the voice of the storm. They are truly the first of the first responders that our community gets to interact with. And we are so blessed and fortunate to have the professional men and women in our public safety answering points and at the Larimer County Sheriff's Office that we have in this community to help our community members. So my sincere appreciation to all of you for this proclamation declaring next week National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And I have some folks from our dispatch center. I don't know when you want me to do that, but
No, thank you, Sheriff. And before we go to reading the proclamation, offering a motion to approve, and I see David's here, do our picture taking. I believe there are some folks that you'd like to acknowledge and maybe some other folks who wish to speak.
So make sure nobody snuck in. So I have David Moore, Dion Sun, and Angel from our dispatch centers and their chain of command who are here. And I told Angel if she wanted to talk. She's like, no way. But they're here from our centers, Commissioner.
Great. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Commissioner Stevens, would you please read the proclamation and offer the motion? And then we can make some comments if we wish, and then we'll pause for pictures.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a proclamation declaring April 14th through 20th, 2024 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require law enforcement, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service providers is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service providers is dependent on the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the Larimer County Sheriff's Office Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our community members have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service providers by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are critical in improving the chance of survival for patients who experience sudden cardiac arrest by recognizing the need for cardiopulmonary resuscitation and other life-saving interventions prior to the arrival of emergency medical services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office Communications Center have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, and probably beyond that. Now therefore be it resolved that the Larimer County Commissioners declare the week of April 14th through 20th, 2024 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the County of Larimer County in honor of the individuals whose diligence and professionalism keep our community and citizens and residents safe.
Thank you, Commissioner. Would you offer the motion, please? Oh, look at that.
And yeah, the motion is, I move to approve the proclamation declaring April 14th through 20th, 2024 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Thank you. And before we vote on the motion, colleagues, do you have any comments you wish to offer? Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, just thank you all for being here, and thank you for the work you do. I think the sheriff really told a good story of the kind of work you do every single day. It feels remarkable to deal with so many different things, and I know that your calm voice on the other side of that phone, it not only saves lives, it just helps people figure out how to deal with it, with maybe the most difficult situation they've been in their lives, and that's I can't imagine doing that work every day. So and as the sheriff said, you're kind of unsung heroes. You don't go speeding to the scene to help, but you're helping every single second of that emergency. And apparently also speaking Jersey, which is which seems like I didn't even think about the idea of, trying to communicate with people from not only different languages, but, different dialects and all kinds of things. So I don't know I haven't experienced what you do, but I know the work that you do is vitally important to our community. And I'm so glad you got to be here for us to recognize you for this work, because most days you just do your job and don't get recognized at all, and you just keep doing it. So thank you very much for what you do. Thank you for protecting and working at our community, helping our residents and keeping our community safe. It's pretty remarkable, and I'm glad you could all be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll probably repeat some of the same things, but I really feel I need to state this. Having family who've worked in emergency services for over 30 years, as the sheriff well knows, since I've known him for over 30 years, it's really, you are all so critical, not only for our residents, but for the folks out in the field and responding, because you are also they're heroes as well. And I want to thank the sheriff for speaking so articulately about the importance. You live this every day, and all of you in the room, thank you for coming. You certainly are, not seen and sometimes recognized as you should be. This should be something we talk about every day. It's so important. For the people in our community, visitors, residents alike, businesses, you might just be only the first voice on the phone, but you are, to that caller, the hero, really the big hero, and you save lives every day. You're the backbone of kind of our public safety, because you're, as professionals, you are the crucial links, receiving the calls and coordinating and providing an effective response in emergency situations, which also leads to the safety of our first responders and for effective response so that our residents in need get the quickest response. And it's I've seen some of those systems, and sometimes the different jurisdictions don't always interact. So you also have to navigate how we connect those systems. And so really, and all calmly. And so I can imagine sometimes I would probably be in panic, like, oh my gosh, we got to hurry and get there. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. It is really important. And I know it's something that you see in movies, but the movies don't probably accurately portray what you guys do every day. And so really important to take a moment and recognize this important week and the important things you do in our community that are really just help so many folks, including our wonderful law enforcement, our first responders, and it's just really important to recognize that and make sure the public understand that when they pick up the phone and dial something, there's some pretty amazing, talented professionals on the line that are there to help them, and we'll be there to be with them at that critical time in their lives. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for bringing the proclamation to us so that we can have this opportunity. And I wish you all a wonderful week in celebrating. I'm hoping you get lots of fun things to do and celebrate each other. And thank you again, just really important for our communities to understand the heroes that you are. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. And I have a couple of quick comments. And before I see if the county manager wants to add to the conversation and we vote on the motion, these are my comments. One is that, from us to you, an expression of gratitude and certainly collaboration and support in all of the things. I will personally commit and do my best to remember to find the appropriate helicopter and wrap it up and put it under the tree come next Christmas. Perhaps David Moore can, make sure I remember to do that. And also regarding the undersheriff and the need for translation services, at least the undersheriff is not from Brooklyn. If the undersheriff were from Brooklyn, perhaps it would be a little bit more complicated to understand. So those are my comments. Lorenda, do you want to add anything before we vote on the motion?
I would. Thank you. I think the work that you do, telecommunicators are the bridge between the public and law enforcement first responders. You do it so calmly. You walk in every day, you sit down, and it starts. And you never know what you're going to get. And you're able to be counselors and direct traffic and maintain that for an entire shift. It is remarkable work. If you've ever seen it done, it is something to behold, and you all are a critical part of our law enforcement community. So it is really an honor to be able to recognize you for a single week. Feels like it's too short, but know that your work is appreciated.
Great. Thank you, Lorenda. So we have a motion on the table. I don't believe there's any further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion to approve the proclamation for this week as National Public Safety, actually April 14th to the 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week is approved. And again, thank you all for your good work. At this time, we will pause for a few minutes to do a photo op. And we have 16 of these proclamations, so I'm hoping the sheriff, that was the request, and you can take them back to your office, but thank you all very much. We have one more discussion item, very important. Department of Human Services and the Leimert County Sheriff's Office. Again, here's an example of collaboration. They've been awarded the 2024 Spirit of the Convening Award through the Colorado State Court System for their collaborative implementation of Senate Bill 23-039. We will welcome our Human Services Director. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Again, Heather O'Hare, Human Services Director. You covered much of what I was going to share, but we had a lot of conversation with you all as the Board of Social Services for Senate Bill 23039, which was expanding child welfare services to parents who are incarcerated in different facilities. So we are very honored that we were recognized for our implementation of those changes. And it actually spans across 5 different departments. So I so appreciate that collaboration is not just something we hang on the wall as one of our guiding principles. We really do live and breathe it every day. And so I'm actually going to turn it over to Thad Paul to actually share what do the services look like, how did we collaborate across the 5 different departments, and how are we having a significant impact for those families in our community.
Thanks, Heather. And is there an actual, you have an award, or is there an award that we can do a picture of?
We have not received it. They presented it, we attended virtually, so they presented a plaque virtually, but we have not received it yet, so.
Okay. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thad Paul, Division Manager for Child, Youth, and Family with Larimer County Department of Human Services. So Heather provided a nice lead-in. What I have is the nomination form that was provided with my own enhancements to it. So, because they don't know how great the people that we have here are, so I wanted to add a little pieces. So maybe Marissa, Becky, Rana, Janelle, if you guys wanted to come up, and because you're welcome to talk when I'm done, and then I'll have a few other folks that I'd like to kind of highlight that it makes this possible. So, the spirit of, so I'm going to read the nomination form, so apologies for just reading from the document here. This person or group embodies leadership, vision, and commitment to families. They act with humility and values collaboration while uplifting family voice in and beyond the courtroom. They practice using a strength-based approach when working with families, when with other professionals, and they emanate the vision of system change and with innovation strives for safety, permanency, and well-being for families in Colorado. They mentioned that this is normally given to a person each year, and this year they had a nomination that they felt like they needed to offer it to the group. So we have a broader, it really highlights what the spirit of convening and what true collaboration is, like as Heather pointed out. So below is kind of the summary of the nomination form with some enhancements, if you will. The 8th Judicial District embodies the spirit of convening in so many ways. When the Office of Respondent Parent Counsel first approached stakeholders regarding Senate Bill 23039, the prospect of making important changes in the way we interact with parents who are incarcerated and serving their children, professionals from Larimer DHS quickly rose to the occasion. And I would say it's not just DHS, because we have our sheriff folk partners here, or at least one of them. The other person, apparently the sheriff gives his staff some time off, apparently, because Captain Schaefer couldn't be here today. So this agency has been endeavoring for some time to better serve these families. Long before there was even a draft of Senate Bill 23039, they were ready and willing to help make the changes in the law that would help accomplish their vision. Marissa Scranton, Rana Davis, Becky Smith, these are supervisors within the Department of Human Services, immediately saw the connection between the family time work, use of family engagement meetings, and this bill, and have been open and welcoming to collaborative efforts. Under their leadership and guidance since the passage of the bill, they have been enthusiastic and proactive in preparing for implementation. They invited ORPC, so Office of Respondent Parent Counsel, to participate in planning and training our professionals in December. So it was a shared presentation that our staff did along with the jail staff and the Office of Respondent Parent Counsel in anticipation of the effective date. In collaboration with the jail staff, the county attorney, and other DHS professionals, they examined how to best train professionals to make changes in a meaningful way. So some of my enhancements that I've added for some folks. So Marissa brought her passion. I think if she's has the courage to share her story a little bit with you, may bring some tears here shortly. And real life perspective to the conversations and training. A passion and commitment to the value and real life impacts of these changes, which you will find palpable if she's able and willing to take have some conversation here. Ronna Davis, she's our parenting time supervisor, has been spearheading the infusion of statutory changes into the daily work of our staff, bringing the insight and conversations from various statewide committees she is a member of, and finding avenues to support systemic changes within our agency. And then Becky Smith, who is our supervisor for our family meeting unit, our family meeting facilitation unit, work with ORPC to bring the message of why these changes are critical for the children of incarcerated parents to Colorado Facilitators Forum in January. That's a statewide forum of folks that do family meetings. She was sure to include the rationale for the changes in the law, focus on the need to correct and prevent disproportionality, and address questions that arose for facilitators as the changes were implemented. Then we can't leave out our amazing partners, and Captain Schaefer, I think she's still interim captain, but I'm going to call her Captain Schaefer, and Janelle Goodwin from the Laramie County Sheriff's Office have been advocates and partners from this on the onset. And it's kind of fascinating and amazing what they've done in the jail, so I'll get to that in a minute. Exploring ways to support and enhance the connection of parents with their children and the engagement to services to support long-lasting relationships. They helped develop and presented a comprehensive trauma-sensitive approach to that overall training, along with DHS and other leaders exhibiting flexibility and creativity in making sure that children have safe and nurturing time with their parents. They were instrumental in they've created a space in our county jail that is specific for family time. So there is actually a room dedicated in the jail specific for family time, a space that has comforts, some of the comforts if you will, it's still in the jail setting, and is conducive to bonding and quality family time for incarcerated parents with their children. We had our first visit, I think, 2 weeks ago with a young child getting to go see their father in that setting. And it was very impactful to see some of those pictures. They are mindful of the difficulty for parents having to let their children leave. So obviously there's an opportunity to bond and connect, and there's still that, it kind of reinforces that separation and that trauma. And so they are providing to the parents and the folks that are in the facility kind of wrap up and support opportunities to keep them whole and well while they're in their facility. Jennifer Stewart, who I haven't brought up yet, so she probably ought to come on up. Jennifer Stewart is from our county attorney's office. She worked with the group to make sure the professionals are aware of how the changes work logistically in the courtrooms and how we would approach and engage parents who are incarcerated. So this group partnered with ORPC in presenting to the CDHS town hall. So we had a statewide town hall that they got to share this presentation. We're getting lots of emails even after this presentation that we received of you guys are leaders across the state, and we have other counties reaching out to us to figure out how we've kind of launched into this work. Each professional from the 8th Judicial District has worked on this project. So again, this is going back to the nomination form. Come with humility and genuine curiosity about these changes will be better for these children, parents, and families. The commitment to creating meaningful relationships and interaction for these families shines in the way they work to create innovation and to see parents differently, shining a light on parents who have so frequently been invisible in courtrooms. They understand how supporting these families will serve communities by providing stability for these children, and by destigmatizing incarceration is a tribute to their vision and leadership in the area. The 8th Judicial District serves as a model for how changes in the law can be embraced, implemented, and celebrated statewide. So these were the individuals that were kind of the face of the work highlighted in the nomination form, but I wanted to call out a few other folks that are behind the scenes that don't always get called out. We have Jill Mosh, Taylor Little, and Rebecca Stage are here for us today. They're part of our Department of Human Services ACE division, so our Administration, Communication, and Excellence division. And so they have partnered with Derek Stalls with CJA, the Criminal Justice Group, with Emily. And then Jared, and I'm going to say his initial, G, from IT, because I will butcher his name. So sorry, Jared, if you're listening, but Jared Grisgowitz, there's the right way to say it. That is not my skill. With IT, and Scott Prevost with the Sheriff's Office, they actually developed a constant running report. So if we have a client that enters into a jail setting, incarceration, or any one of the CJA programs, our system and our caseworkers are notified, so we have an immediate access to know, oh, we need to start moving. We have an opportunity for a parenting time visit, as well as other resources and communication opportunities. So obviously, collaboration, as Heather said, is not just something we hang on the wall. We do in Larimer County, and I want to highlight that it's to be able to do that, you have to have the leaders that sets the stage allows us to do that. So obviously, including Sheriff Fan, Heather O'Hare, Emily Humphrey, and Mark Pfaffinger, who have created the space and environment for amazing cross-county collaboration And what is highlighted here is only scratching the surface what is happening across the county on a daily basis. So thank you for your time today, and I'd like to turn it over to the folks if they'd like to share some thoughts or comments.
Thank you, Thad. Well done, sir.
Who wants to go first?
You can go. I can go first. I heard something.
And-
We won't be able to talk
and-
after.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And if you would please introduce yourself for the record.
Hello.
Oh.
I'm Marissa Scranton. They're making fun of me back there, but I'm just a crier. I'm very comfortable in my emotions. I'm a supervisor with Larimer County. I supervise both intake and ongoing caseworkers. For me, this award is a symbolization of the profound tenacity shown by this group of humans. And really, everyone needs to stand up. Like, come up here. Everyone who's touched this Senate bill in collaboration. I mean, there's so many more people that need to be standing up here. Oh gosh, now I can't read. When Larimer County was notified that this Senate bill would go into effect, I was both thrilled and apprehensive. I wondered if there was enough people who would believe in this bill, like I did, to make this implementation happen successfully. And looking at this room full of brilliant, remarkable, and compassionate humans beside me, I'm so honored to say that every single one of you said yes, loudest, and it was just so moving. I didn't hear one no from anybody that we approached. This dedication to this bill means so much to me. And as time went on and this group planned a training for our staff, the Office of Respondent Parent Council, and foster and kinship families, there was a little girl inside of me who was jumping for joy. This group ensured we had the right people at the table, including people with lived experience and enough influence to reach as wide an audience as we could. The Larimer County Jail was instrumental in ensuring their facility was ready to take on family time and make it as comfortable and loving as possible. We all collectively pulled together one of the best trainings I have ever been a part of, 3 years to the month after I lost my father to his methamphetamine dependency. At his best, my father was a musical genius. He was creative and he was humorous. I loved him dearly, and he was incarcerated on and off for the majority of my own childhood. In fact, Becky was the supervisor on a couple of my dad's child protection cases, and the grace she extended to my father is something I'll remember for the rest of my life. And now, with this bill, knowing that soon all the other children that have a parent who's incarcerated will actually be able to hug their parent while visiting them, instead of just touching them and longing to touch them through a pane of glass, was the motivation that got us all through. And when Janelle texted me the day of the first family time visit that happened in her jail, I was overcome with thanksgiving for that father and that child. Having a parent who is incarcerated is a heavy weight to carry. But when we all choose to link arms with the children in our community and the parents in our community, we can make that weight just a tiny bit lighter. Meaningful family engagement is a necessary component in improving outcomes for children and their parents. So I thank you on behalf of every child who will have a different story than mine, because people like you all cared so much to move the mark just a little bit. Thank you.
Please, thank you. Please say your first name again.
Marissa.
Marissa. Thank you, Marissa.
Yes, thank you.
I too am a bit of a crier, so I'm almost in solidarity with you here. Is there anyone else from your wonderful team that wishes to speak?
so I did not come with a speech prepared.
And if you would be kind enough to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Janelle Goodwin. I'm the jail program manager for the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. Marissa said a lot that I would want to say, but I do have a few things to add. What's really remarkable about this collaboration is that two giant systems came together to make something beautiful happen. At the Sheriff's Office, we take a strengths-based approach to rehabilitation, so we understand that people are complicated, and someone can still be a really good parent, even if they're incarcerated. So of course, we supported this, and of course, we worked with all of our staff so that they all understood the importance, the research behind this, and could get fully behind it as well. That goes from our deputies to our control room staff who are watching on the cameras. And of course, none of it could be done without the support of our wonderful sheriff, who is an amazing human to work for. What is really significant about this is we are breaking the cycle of intergenerational trauma and intergenerational incarceration. We are showing our, I call them my clients, but our people who are incarcerated, that they have something to offer and something to fight for, and that is something they can build on as they work towards their own rehabilitation. So thank you all for your collaboration. And for, believing in the criminal justice system, that we actually could get behind this and make it happen. So thank you.
Thanks, Janelle. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Well, then, I'm going to suggest the following. I suspect my commissioner colleagues would like to share a few words, reflections, and I'd like to offer something, and perhaps our county manager. And then, even though we don't have a plaque or any of that, this is an extraordinary team effort, so no requirements, but I'm going to encourage folks to come on up, and we'll do a photo to show the breadth and the depth of this critical team. So we can hold up a piece of paper and pretend it's a plaque, I'm not sure. But with that said, Commissioner Stevens, is there something you'd like to share, please?
Sure. Well, thank you all for the work that you do. When this Senate bill came forward, we knew that it was going to be challenging to implement. We engaged with our colleagues at the state legislature to say this is going to be challenging to implement. And so it's remarkable to come back just a year later, really, and see how much progress you've made. So you took that challenge and you ran with it. And so not only ran with it, it sounds like you're the leaders in the state and everybody wants to model their programs after what you've done. So remarkable work within a year to really make this a reality. And it couldn't happen without the collaboration. And that's what's so exciting about this award is it really it really recognizes the collaboration that's happened. So I wrote down IT, the Sheriff's Office, Department of Human Services, County Attorney's Office, and Community Justice Alternatives were all involved. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but that is a huge group to come together to make this happen. And so remarkable work. And then thank you, Marissa, for sharing your story. I too had a loved one who was incarcerated for a time, and people shouldn't be judged on what they did on maybe their worst day. And they are still parents and family members, and it's very impersonal to be able to touch someone that you love and see them through a screen or a window. And so having that human touch and that interaction is vital to keeping those relationships whole. And it helps the people who are incarcerated get better and know that there's something waiting for them when they're done serving their term. And there's love that they they can experience and joy, and that can help them heal and get better. And it helps children and family members to be with their loved ones and to know that that child is loved as well. That can't happen through glass, and it can't happen through a phone. And so thank you for sharing your story, because you're not alone in that story. Many of us have similar stories, and but it sounds like your tenacity and the tenacity of all your colleagues really made this happen. And so it shows how we do things differently here, that we're committed to, we're, first of all, up for a challenge, and second of all, committed to making things work. And this is a program that will change lives. I believe that that's true. So thank you all for working together so well. And bravo, I can't wait to see I'm sorry we can't take a picture with the actual, the plaque, but what you've done means more than just, a piece of wood. It's really the life-changing work that you're doing. Can't be encapsulated in just a plaque. So we're thankful for you, and thanks for coming here to share your story.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaddock McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, just congratulations to you all. This is well-deserved recognition. And I know that it says it's been going on for a year, but actually, if you think about it, it's been under a year that you guys have implemented that and implemented this program. I know there's some other exemplar programs around the country that I think this bill might have been based on, but to do something, implement a piece of legislation in under a year and do it so well is exemplary and something that should be celebrated. And I hope you'll celebrate for a long time, because I think that this is just the beginning. I think you will all be leading the state and the region and showing how to do this. Thad, you had shared that when Heather says, collaboration is not just something we hang on the wall. She's standing in front of our guiding principles poster on the wall. And I say this a lot even with our new employees. Those guiding principles aren't just words. I see this happening with our amazing over 2,500 employees and staff and collaborators and partners every single day. It is, when I say I'm elected commissioner, I mean it, because I see this amazing work that people do out of just the power of their empowered hearts, that they just want to make a difference in the lives of folks in need, and especially our most vulnerable. And our children are some of our most vulnerable, and we have to intervene with early access and intervention to support families and children, because it is a lifelong cycle if we do not intervene. So this is really important. And what's also critically important is the parent-child bond. Love is love. We always say love is love. Well, guess what? Love is love between a parent and a child, whether they are, in a traditional setting, or even when the walls of incarceration separate them. And so those walls can be taken down to allow this innovative approach to allow children to feel that love and to feel they haven't been forgotten or abandoned by their families, their parent, or their community. It's important for them to see and understand that their community and law enforcement and all these scary faces, or not scary faces, are people who are coming from a place of love to make sure that they have that critical love and acceptance. It's so important for them to see it, feel it, for their developmental progress. Otherwise, they'll have developmental issues. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys all know this. And it will break that cycle, you're right, for their own incarceration. I know the studies are there. I don't have to talk about that. You all know it. I mean, the studies show this intergenerational cycle of poverty, trauma, and incarceration has to be broken. And this is hopefully going to show, as it's shown in other ways, that this is really the way to do it. And I know some folks might feel a little uneasy about it. I know we all kind of felt wondering about this bill, what it's going to look like. And when we were touring the new Larimer County Jail, the sheriff and others were so kind to let us kind of see where this might happen, and they were already planning for that and talking about that, even though the bill was not really signed yet. And so I think that kind of leadership from Sheriff Fan and all of you to say, even if we don't have this bill, that might be something that we need to look at. Really, the studies have shown just maintaining some kind of positive relationship with an incarcerated parent with their child helps the child with their behavior and just their sense of secure attachment that also translates into their ability for making friends and being productive at school. And it just goes on and on and on. And so the ripples and the legacy of implementing this program so well in under a year can't be understated. It is going to change generations, and I'm so proud and so excited and so glad that you all letting us come celebrate your tremendous collaboration, hard work, your heartfelt passion to see this through is tremendous. And I'm really thankful for all five. I'm not surprised that all five departments working together. It takes a village, and the county is a big, huge village, and to have all those departments come together for a common goal and to do it so exemplary is not surprising. And maybe that's our expectation is excellence, right? That's what our logo is. But we shouldn't take that for granted. Excellence is really the product of hard work and folks being determined and focused on good outcomes for our community, especially our children. So with that being said, my heartfelt gratitude. I almost try not to cry. Marissa, thank you for sharing your story. And wow, we're so lucky to have you and all of you here at Larimer County. And Janelle, thanks for, just talking about it's important to support those folks and those programs. And it takes great leadership with our sheriff, with Heather, with Thad, with Captain Schaefer, all of you. And you all are leaders, and you're a phenomenal team, and just really, really glad to be here today celebrating with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I have a quick question. Marissa, would you mind coming back? And then I'll have a couple of hopefully quick comments and then see if the county manager. But I'm curious, there's been a number of shout outs or recognitions of all the various partners. Is the DA's office involved in this in any way in the court system?
So I don't know the answer to that, but the county attorney's office has been instrumental in ensuring that our caseworkers feel supported for the treatment plans that, parents have the right to have while they're incarcerated. But somebody help me, is the DA? No, okay. Jennifer, help me.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my comments are, one is there was a reference to family time, and I'm happy to report that on Friday in the State Board of Human Services, we did approve a series of rules based on legislation that is changing the word visitation and expanding the concept of family time, and I think that applies to the incarceration setting. So I wanted folks to know that. Secondly, this commissioner job is not a cakewalk, and we're often pulled in many different directions. And so this morning has been great to hear the good work. Not terribly surprising, but we all work together well. So I appreciate helping to helping us to be reminded of why we do this stuff, and which is not always easy. And then finally, perhaps the most important shout out that I wish to do is there's a person that I believe may have accompanied you, Marissa, who is your support person, who's sitting over there, and who is smart enough to bring a book and has demonstrated excellent listening skills, being very attentive. And so I think that person deserves a well-deserved shout out. Am I correct that that person was accompanying you to support you?
Yes, that is my daughter,
Of
Raya
course.
Scranton.
So, thank you for listening to me for a moment. Lorinda, anything you'd like to add quickly, please?
Yeah, I'll just keep it brief. I think you all have said wonderful things about the program. It's not surprising that outcome is your focus, not walls, not silos. you can comply with the law or you can really embrace the intent of the law, and that is what you all did. You focused on the benefit for the incarcerated individual and for the child and for the family as a whole. And I think that's what makes Larimer County special. It makes you all special. And I hope the state is watching, because I think this is a great example of what the law was meant to do and how it can be applied in a way that is safe for everyone. And it'll be curious to see in a couple of years the outcome of your work. You know, it will touch people in ways you may never know about. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. So we'll pause for a moment, and there are no requirements here, but I'd like to encourage folks to come on up. We'll take a couple of pictures. I think it's important to acknowledge all the human beings that are involved in this work and the outcomes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing us a short break, and we're going to continue with our meeting. We are on to our next agenda item, which is our county manager update. So I will pass that over to Lorinda Volker.
Thank you, Commissioners. I was away last week, so I appreciate the time to be able to visit with my grandchildren and have some time with them, attend a family wedding. So I do not have a report today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, County Manager. We certainly encourage people to take time off, as does our sheriff, who's now leaving. Time off is really important, so I'm glad you had time with your family, and we'll look forward to a report next week. So we're on to our Commissioner activity reports, and I will turn it over to my colleague, Commissioner Jody Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. I appreciate that. Last week was a day to celebrate others, and it was very busy. And so I'm going to just share a few of those things. Tuesday, I was very, well, first let's go to the rodeo board meeting. We are progressing along with planning for this year's rodeo. And the rodeo board, I want to thank them all for their service. They're a hardworking group and already doing a lot of activities. It takes a lot to get sponsors and to line up the bobbleheads. And pretty soon here, I'll have this kind of a historic announcement about the bobblehead soon. And there's just going to be some cool things happening. And also just kind of coordinating, you know, even mutton busting it takes a lot of coordination. So I want to thank them for their service. I'm really thrilled and excited that we got to cut the ribbon and celebrate the 4-H Youth and Community Arena out at the ranch. Thank you to all the staff and the CSU Extension who worked very hard to have just and I forgot to bring that. I'll have to bring that next time. Worked very hard to coordinate a wonderful, engaging afternoon, not only with the speeches and cutting the ribbon, there was a lot of interactive activities between powering on the bicycles, making buttons, all kinds of things. And I certainly enjoyed branding wood. I did that a few times with the 4-H logos. And I look back at the pictures now, and I'm lucky I didn't with some of the flames coming out, I'm surprised I didn't set my pants on fire, literally. So it was really well done. And to all the volunteers who showed up to help with those activities, to help the youth that came to celebrate. The center was just really a wonderful afternoon, and appreciate the opportunity to celebrate. And thanks to the Dane family and a lot of youth and Kathy Reynolds, who showed up to talk, and the gentleman from CSU. There's a lot of important people that have had a lot of vision and leadership in seeing this space come to fruition, and to know that a lot of those spaces were designed and asked for by our youth and families. It's just really an exemplary building. I can't wait to see the youth being more active in it than what we saw them interacting and being active that afternoon. I then went to the Poudre School District Celebrate Staff's Awards Night. What an exciting and fun time to celebrate some amazing educators, whether they work in janitorial staff, driving buses, teaching students in special areas throughout the amazing school district Poudre School District is. It was just amazing to see them all celebrating each other and having the energy, especially after a long day teaching and then coming to those awards and supporting each other. I really felt honored and thrilled and excited and grateful I got to attend and celebrate with them that evening. And then the next morning, I rolled into Thompson's 6:30 a.m. Celebration out at Embassy Suites, which they do an early breakfast. And again, just exciting to celebrate some of the trailblazers there in Thompson School District and honoring. I want to do one shout out to a young woman who teaches in Mountain View High School but lives in Wellington, and Jess Chalet, who won Rookie of the Year. And the reason I want to shout out is this powerhouse inside of a very tiny petite body was asked to step out of her second or first week of student teaching into teaching math at high school. And she, that's a lot to ask a new student teacher in their second week to start teaching high school math when, but she's done it. And she, the comment made was that they think that she is on her way to being a master teacher. And that takes a lot of perseverance and tenacity and courage to teach math in high school, especially in your second week of student teaching. But she's been doing it and doing it well, and she's in her second year. And I I just have to give her a shout out because that was pretty extraordinary. And congratulations to all the teachers of the year and the amazing staff. And it was exciting to celebrate with them all. Then exciting to move on that evening to be at the CASA Night of Hope for our court-appointed special advocates. It was a record-breaking large crowd that night. It was really great to hear stories. It's still Child Abuse Prevention Month. And to hear those stories and hear about the needs for volunteers and the work that CASA does, it was really a good reminder just as this morning as we had all of those and reminders of importance of working together for the benefit of kids. It's just was an inspiring evening. So it was a busy 24 hours for me, but it was a reminder, a great chance to celebrate the educators and folks in our community that work hard on behalf of the children in our community. It's something we should not forget about in kind of our work. It was, I thought I was going to try to catch up, but I ended up, on Thursday, having meeting after meeting after meeting on Thursday. And then when I got done, I got to go celebrate at the Neighbor to Neighbor Investor Celebration, which was great to see their progress and hear about some of the work that they're doing. They did give out a lot of kudos to the county for their partnerships with the emergency rental assistance program. And they're very excited and grateful for the work we're doing with the landlord engagement program, which is critical. And I want to thank Neighbor to Neighbor for their wonderful partnership and warm welcome. And it was great to get a chance to meet some of the new board members and have conversations with the board members of Neighbor to Neighbor. And then Commissioner Kafalis and I went to the Darls of the American Revolution Overland Trail chapter. I have to say, I really look forward to that celebration every year because that chapter celebrates the youth in the rural areas of Poudre School District with Red Feather, Cache La Poudre, Wellington schools, and it's really great. We get to stand up there the whole time, Commissioner, and hand out these awards and shake hands, and to hear the words from their teachers and their families about these engaging young students. And hear what they're already doing at such a young age is really inspiring. I just wanted to kind of also recognize, and I'm sure I want to leave some for Commissioner's share, but I want to thank the Overland chapter of the DAR because they do a lot of work to organize this and get it set up. But also they did something special this year, and I'll let the Commissioner share about the Virginia Dale Church. But I wanted to share about they took two veterans. One of them is Diggs Brown, as we all know, his work in the community, and Billy Thornton, and both were recognized. I had to bring this up, make sure I have it right, as a national designation award, which the Overland Trail chapter had to apply for. But for the DAR, it's a Distinguished Citizen Medal, and this is is awarded to someone who fulfills the qualities of honor, service, courage, leadership, and patriotism, and has contributed to the defense, security, and thereby the freedoms of the community, state, or nation in an exceptional manner. And so both Mr. Thornton and Mr. Brown got that national designation, and I appreciate the chapter and the work that they did, and it was really an honor to present those awards. And so very excited about that. And then we had our legislative Forest Health Council meeting, and we have finalized some recommendations to present to the full Forest Health Council in a couple of weeks. And for the 2025 legislative session, we're not even through the 2024 legislative session, and we'll see how those are voted on and received. They're not finalized yet. We'll bring those to the full council, but we had a very robust and very well effective meeting on Friday. And then I presented to CCI at our Colorado Counties Incorporated. We have a Friday meeting for a legislative meeting. Commissioner Leslie Dalkemper, who serves on the Colorado Fire Commission, and I serve on the Colorado Forest Health Council, and we together served on the prescribed fire subcommittee of those two. We presented to the CCI committee on wildfire issues and some things, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And then jumped on to the Colorado Attorney General's opioid abatement data subgroup work group. I serve as the vice chair for our Region 2 Opioid Abatement Council. And we're working on that as a Regional 2 about data subgroup and a data dashboard and how we are using that data. But we're also looking at this as outcome data for the state and trying to link that with the work for the whole country. And so that's taken a lot of dialogue, and it's really hard to grapple and trying to pull that all together. But it's going to be a really important work, especially to show to our taxpayers what we've done with this opioid abatement money. Very excited to attend another breakfast celebrating the Poudre Valley REA annual meeting. 85 years of service to the community. That was probably one of the largest gatherings I've ever seen at the Embassy Suites, and to meet with the new board members and hear from community partners. There were other power utilities, other organizations there, and it was a lot of our Fair Board was there, and just other community customers as well as advocates, and so that was exciting. And well done. I really thought it was a really great meeting and great presentation. And then I drove over to our Common Grounds. My presentation for my monthly meeting in Loveland with Heidi Pruis from our Climate Smart Future Ready, our Client Sustainability Manager, and she presented to a crowd at the High Plains Environmental Center. I want to thank Jim Tolstrup for letting us use that space and also coming to come talk. A little bit at the end, I drove the Ford Lightning truck to park in the parking lot outside the building, and we had the trunk doors open, and they call it a frunk, R-U-N-K, open that everyone's fascinated with the front trunk of the truck, and that was really cool to be able to share that with the public. They're very excited to see the progress there, and enjoyed sharing those things with the community. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. It was a lot of celebrations last weekend, and just wanted to share with you some of the things that were done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens, did you go?
I haven't gone yet.
Would you like to go?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to say that the ribbon cutting for the 4-H Youth and Community Arena was a pretty special event. I'm celebrating myself 20 years as a 4-H leader, and so being there to see a new 4-H facility that can be used by, not only livestock people, but there's classrooms, and so I think it'll really enhance the 4-H program. So really excited to do the ribbon cutting for that. Also attended the CASA Night of Hope. Was a really special event, and just wanted to thank Jen Ryan, the executive director, for all the work that she does and all the work that the volunteers do at CASA, because they really accompany children in these court proceedings, and these are children that have experienced abuse and neglect, and so it takes really special people to do that work, and just really great to acknowledge the work that they do and to raise some funds to support the work that they do, and it looks like they may have even gotten some new volunteers out of the program, so that was exciting. Thursday was Transportation Day for me. I had the National Association of Counties Transportation meeting, and then we had the US 34 Coalition, followed by the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization meetings. I guess the biggest news out of these three meetings was that we did create, or we're looking to create a TMO, a Transportation Management Organization. We have a name for it now. This is a transportation TMO for US 34. It is called NOCO Go. And it will be for, at least for now, housed at the MPO offices. We decided to create it as a 501c3 so we could take donations. And looking forward to getting that moving. And for those folks who don't know it, Transportation Management Organization works on how to mitigate congestion and get people into multimodal forms of transportation. Think of van pooling and buses and other kinds of transportation. We know that's desperately needed on US 34, so looking forward to that. On Friday, we had our Regional Air Quality Commission Board meeting. We were encouraged to be in person, which was very interesting because it was also Rocky's home opener. So downtown Denver was challenging, to say the least, and parking was extremely expensive. But we did talk a lot about the programs that are being developed through the Regional Air Quality Commission, or the RAC. A lot of people are familiar with mow down pollution. There's now a 30% rebate, a state rebate for gas and electric mowers and other lawn equipment. So this is the time to switch. It's really easy and it's fun. And getting an electric mower was the best thing I ever did. My garage does not smell like gasoline anymore, and it's pretty easy to use. So that we will be starting the Mow Down Pollution program as the spring weather starts to hit. As I said, please take advantage of that 30% rebate. There will be additional rebates for people who live in DI communities, especially near Suncor. There's a $50,000 payment from Suncor that will help with the mowers in that area. There's also, we also talked about a couple programs, engines off, so anti-idling programs. So, idling your car, keeping your motor running when you're not driving is not good. It's not good for our air pollution. It's not good for ozone. It's not good for the air we breathe in. So there are programs, they're called engines off programs. There's one for schools because, as we know, people who pick up their kids from school line up and keep their engines running and then those are little kids' lungs that are getting exposed to all that those exhaust fumes. So we are promoting that. And then also an engines off for auxiliary power units. So think of food trucks. So if you've been near a food truck, you hear a generator running, and they're again spewing sort of emissions into our air. This would allow grants to use batteries instead of engines for food trucks. So that is another grant program. So some exciting things happening. Hopefully we'll get to partner with the RAC and bring some of those programs here to Larimer County. And then just, I guess the last thing, I did want to say congratulations to all the newly elected officials. We did have an election last week, and Timnath, Windsor, Wellington, and Estes Park all elected new officials to their boards, and we look forward to working with them, and we'll be meeting with them at the end of the month. And then finally wanted to do a shout out for Fort Collins Museum of Discovery. They have, I don't know if I know how to pronounce this, but Alabrijes is and Commissioner Cavalis is laughing, so apparently I did not pronounce that right.
Actually, I was just smiling. I was not
Oh,
laughing.
okay. But it was a really great program that was done with two artists from Mexico City that collaborated with local schools and community members, and to create these fantastical beasts that are all on display. They're colorful, they're beautiful, they're creative. They're on display at the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery. I encourage everyone to go visit. They had a sensory day on Sunday. So, and they wanted us to make sure that we knew that they were grateful for the dollars they received from the behavioral health grant dollars that allowed them to have that sensory day for folks who might have autism or other sensory issues. And so anyway, really lovely exhibit. Go see it. And that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will be brief. And I believe you did a good job of pronouncing that word, so congratulations. I spoke to a state and local government class on Monday, Front Range Community College, through the lens of our organizational chart, talked about what the county does, the issues that we're focused on, and also had a good dialogue with the students. They had good questions, thoughtful, insightful, about the issues that matter to them. Also, on Wednesday, actually, I attended the annual Colorado State University ACT Human Rights Festival, Film Festival, and there were two films that night. It was opening night at the Laura Student Center. One of the films was entitled Si Pudiera Quedarme, and that means if I could only stay, and it had to do with a couple of folks who were provided sanctuary at the Unitarian Church in Denver, First Unitarian Church in Denver, as well as in Boulder. So that was an interesting film. There was another film as well. Thursday, we had our Wellington Community Conversation. We had three guests, including the director of the Harvest Farms. They work with the Fort Collins Rescue Mission, and talking about what they're doing and some of the updates there and adding some more capacity. We also had Lee Cooper from our Veterans Service Office. Lee is our VSO, and he's striving to get out in the community more so folks can know what our Veterans Service Office does, and that's another example of something provided through the Economic and Workforce Development up on the 5th floor in the Larimer County Administrative Services Building at 200 West Oak, with offices in Loveland as well. But we try to help veterans navigate complex systems like the VA to get their benefits. Also, we had Aaliyah Rodriguez from our Housing Stability Program, and she gave some updates on what we're doing to try to prevent homelessness and things like that. Regarding the Overland Trail chapter, the Daughters of the American Revolution, it was a very uplifting event, always is. Grateful to be able to go. And regarding the Virginia Dale Community Church, they received an Excellence in Historic Preservation. And I got to meet the pastor and learned that they have about 40 folks who attend that church. And I kind of think we gave them maybe $1,500 in ARPA funds to help do some repair work. So that's a good thing. Then State Board of Human Services on Friday. I had left before the ball game, the opening game, so it wasn't as bad as far as parking and traffic. I'll just mention, in addition to what I said earlier regarding rules having to do with family time, we also implemented the rules for a bill, House Bill 22-1259, which has to do with increasing the basic cash assistance amount for people on the Colorado Works program, temporary assistance to needy families, and it also puts in a cost of living adjustment. So many people who receive public assistance get a basic cash assistance grant to help with child care needs, training needs, job searching needs, and we're now able to increase it and also provide a COLA accordingly. I think that's all I have. I believe we're done, and so we will adjourn at 11 a.m. Thank you all, and have a good day.